11:04 a.m., calling this meeting to order. It is our weekly Commissioner Status Update. Attending Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Filios. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Okay. First item of business, Emergency Operations Center, EOC Armory Building, potential action item. We're going to have to get moving on this and do it fast. So where are we?
Well, right now, what?
Tiffany wanted to come forward.
No, I think we spoke to the necessity of it, so I think Shawn and Jody both have stuff.
Okay.
So in the last meeting, Chris, you weren't here, but Leslie asked that Corey send a letter about the status of what he's done so far. And so you should have a copy of that. I sent it to you. So right now, he's somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000. We tried to find, with no success, a property inspection report when it was handed over from the National Guard to the county. They did it in Bonner. According to what Corey said, they did a full-on abatement and the whole 9 yards, did a property inspection report, and then handed it over to Bonner County. So we think it exists, but we can't find it. So the bottom line is we're gonna have somebody tomorrow meet us on site that's gonna do some testing. He's gonna give us a cost. I think we said it was what, right around $1,200?
Yeah,
$1,200 to $1,500. We think that everything's been abated, but we just don't want to start tearing into walls and stuff, and then we end up with a problem, because as tight as this is right now, there's no time for problems.
Understood. So
Okay.
what kind of test are we doing tomorrow?
Well, we're not going to do anything tomorrow. We're going to meet with the guy. He's going to take a look at it. He'll give me a cost of it, and I will get that back to you. That's something that I
A
would
cost to do what?
check the building for asbestos.
Oh, okay, all right.
We think it's gone because there's CVT flooring in there that was put it down just recently. And that's usually where you found the asbestos in the older buildings, was in
Got
the
it.
tile floors.
Okay,
So I think Corey's contract is on the agenda for tomorrow. That was taken care of.
and that's for the design for the interior modifications?
That's for design and construction oversight.
Got it.
And his fee is based off of 10% of the owner's budget off the contract price for the work. So
Okay,
we're
got
looking
it.
maybe somewhere in that 30 to 40,000 range.
Understood, okay. Tiffany?
I mean, as far as Jody did some research on it, so I think I'll let her to speak to that. But like I said, we spoke to the necessity of it. We've gone out there a couple times. It'll meet our needs. The need's not gonna go away if we don't get this facility. It's just gonna continually be a need. Jody met with Hayden and looked into the coding of the facility to see if we could split it, and it looks like there is an ability for us to split it based off of code, so that shouldn't be a problem. And Hayden seems to be on board with that as well, so any other questions at this point?
Okay. Jody, did you want to jump in here? Thanks, Tiffany.
We actually met with community development. That's who we initially met with, and they had identified with the help
Their
of
community development
our
or
community
ours? Oh,
development.
David.
Melissa's
okay.
on the wire. I asked her to participate, so I'll
okay.
let Hayden speak to Hayden's position, but we have had a conference call with Hayden as well. Pat is well aware that we reached out to community development specifically to see if there could be a free split or a split of the 4.5 acres, and that there can be a split. So that would then reduce the cost of the property to $300,000 on the 2.4 acres, of which, if you remember, Stephen had offered that a portion of that could be his tax money that he would normally get anyway.
That's the 160,000.
160,000,
Okay.
and then I had asked Pat about potentially, because Tiffany brought it up, I don't know if there is any type of lease purchase that you could do for 1 year, but that would then cover the,
You could do it for 1 year.
so then that
It's more than 1 year that it gets a little dicey.
okay. So then that means that the money that you gave to the airport would satisfy the airport requirement, reducing the actual cost of the land to be with whatever that lease purchase amount would be for the 1 year. And Stephen was kind enough to provide the lease payment. I think for a year it was $60,000. So then again, you deduct that, and then the remainder of it would be somewhere around 70, 80,000 potentially.
Okay, so we are applying that to the purchase price.
Correct. That was something that Stephen offered up, which I thought was a great idea. So we are from I'm sorry.
Well, what's a year going to get us?
Oh, all that will give you is the fact that that money that you would pay for lease, so whether it's the sheriff or the county paying that lease, that actually goes towards the purchase.
Right. But, I mean, because we're looking at FTA dollars still?
Oh, I was looking solely at the county right now. So specifically the EOC, the funds that you're getting from CARES is
Right.
approximately 655,000.
Right.
The purchase of the land, if we go by the land, the lease appraisal, the lease line appraisal, is approximately 300,000. So minus the 160, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, finish.
So 300,000 minus the 160, then minus whatever money that you put towards it, the remainder of that. And if we use 60,000 plus the 160, that's 220. That means there's $80,000 outstanding. That
There you
would then
go.
cover the land. So if Dan's good for 80,000 somewhere in his budget, he now has 2.4 acres and an EOC. Not for me to decide, that's just me.
Right.
Yes.
So the idea of going with the lease purchase is to get us going, so we can plan the renovations that have to occur.
Yes.
Ahead of the partitioning, which is probably gonna take a public.
Well, the partitioning is actually, all it is a survey, a legal description, and then you record it. That would be all that's required.
How much time do we need?
I didn't go into that length of time, but going again with the lease portion of it, if you were to kick it off this very second with the agreement on the lease, and we understood that the lease contribution would go towards the cost of the land, then you are then now initiating all those things, and I'm sorry, I don't have the exact.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, for the survey, the legal description, and then the recording. Pat, did you want to add anything to that? Do you feel like that's sufficient, what I just said?
I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
If you use part of that parking lot, like we had talked about for the buses, would FTA then cover part of that purchase as well? So it may not even be $80,000.
Correct.
Okay. that's what I was-
Unfortunately, I cannot commit that. I do.
Sure.
I can tell you right now that we have available to us $350,000 that we actually have available, with another 194, which then gets that to about 550,000 that we would have, potentially.
Now, is that to build a building or just for dirt and parking space?
Right now, we are just focused on the land. We
Okay.
have not ventured into the facility itself, so at least we have what I understand to be,
buses.
for the buses, the land and the parking. So
Okay.
that would be first covered.
So then my other question is, and Pat, maybe you can speak to this, is that designated rural zone? So do we have to stick to the 5-acre minimum?
Actually, it's light industrial.
Oh, okay, so that'll give us that freedom,
Right.
okay.
And Melissa, I'm sorry, you're on the wire so patiently. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Melissa, did you have anything to add?
You know, so by it's actually in the county's code that deals with our exclusives here in the ACI. Any development is supposed to follow the city's code, not the county's code. So we're working on an agreement between the city and the county to allow you to kind of follow your own processes instead of ours, while still protecting our interests in the future if those properties are developed privately.
Okay,
So we're working that out, and our attorneys kind of reviewed that, and I'll get it over to Jody this week so that we can see if you guys are okay with that agreement as well.
And
We don't want to hold you guys up from being able to use this grant that you have for the emergency services and FTA.
so, Melissa, would it be fair to say that there's a broader question here, and that's the 15 acres, that if you take the 4.5 plus the, whatever that would equal, 11 point whatever to somebody, but there's a total of 15 acres that Stephen is keenly interested in rolling out. So that's why it's imperative that we understand the ACI with Hayden. And then, as Melissa had pointed out, that they don't want to stop us from going forward with this smaller, but keeping in mind that they have a bigger vision, and we certainly want to work with them, in my opinion, in terms of that bigger vision.
Okay, so I'm trying to partition this right now.
Thank you.
Armory.
Yes.
Forget the rest of it. I'm just concerned with the armory.
2.4 acres.
2.4 acres. Are we ready to proceed with a lease purchase?
well, no, we need we need City of Hayden to get the agreement for us. We need,
You don't
Yeah,
need,
but-
you don't need that for the
Right.
lease. You can go forward right
can
now
go-
this
Yes.
very moment with a
Precise.
lease.
There you go.
Yes. The lease is, not- I've given you more information because I was told the last time that I had to
Sure.
have an answer to every question, and Stephen was kind enough to participate, so.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, where I'm trying to go with this is to say, if Tiffany's correct in saying we're under the gun, renovations have to be completed by, is it the
December
15th or the
15th.
30th?
It's the
of Dec-
30th. It's
of
the
December,
30th of
okay?
December.
So as not to hold it up any further, we know the partition's gonna,
I think we're gonna need them.
we know the partition's gonna happen.
Yes.
And it's just a question of the remaining, whatever it is, $80,000, and whose budget that's gonna come out of.
Yes,
The fact of
yes.
the matter is, it's gonna occur. Why can't we proceed with the lease purchase now?
And I would say that,
Could budget the money next year. I mean, the lease, I think the sheriff's gonna try to get the lease out of his budget, if I understand him correctly, and you may have to help him out at the end of the year with that. But if there's a little bit extra money on the table, wouldn't it be possible to just budget for that for FY '22?
however the board determines, what
Yeah.
I would say that is wanting to have whatever money Dan does give, get to the investment of the land, so then that way it could then subtract from the total cost. So that was
Right.
the project.
Right.
But that doesn't stop anyone, if the board so desires and so votes to move forward. It doesn't stop you from today saying, yes, we'll do this, because all the specificity that you needed now has been addressed.
Precisely.
To my understanding,
That's
unless
what
there's
I'm
other
getting at.
questions.
Okay.
So it
I'll
is.
be happy to have a
just-
chat.
Just so I didn't get over glee for nothing. Watch out for the.
No problem,
December 30th, right? Okay.
I expected you to levitate as you were leaving the podium.
Watch, it's still got a cord sticking out of it, so.
I just want to speak about the $80,000, and I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, and I want to get moving down the road with this. But to say that I'm going to come up with $80,000 out of our budget, not knowing exactly where it's going to come from in an entirely different budget year than we're in right now, I don't want to throw a wrench in the works. What I want to say is this: if it needs to come out of our budget with the understanding that later on, if we come up short, you guys are going to put it back, that would be my position on it, because I can't say to you that I can unequivocally let loose with $80,000 out of my budget. The other thing I would say is that the commissioners historically, and I think legally, are the ones responsible for buildings in the
facilities.
county. I just want to help this thing get moving around. And if we can do something temporarily with our budget and have you guys backfill it later, I'm more than willing to do that. But again, it's $80,000 that,
Okay.
It's not all 80 at once, though. It's only, you're only paying a portion of the lease for what, 9 months, 10 months, whatever that.
yeah, whatever it takes to do this.
Came down. I
as long
think
as
Steven said it was
we
like
have a
40
mutual
grand.
agreement that if we come up short $80,000, you're going to help us
Okay, but
out.
who's paying for the lease? Whose budget, the
wait.
60 grand?
Well, hold on one sec, because there's a bunch of numbers floating around. The BOCC has $161,000 to put
Correct.
towards the purchase right now, today, period, okay?
Won't that
So-
cover the lease if it's?
Somebody's. Your phone.
That was your,
No, it's actually
I
140.
don't know what that was.
figure.
Sounded
No, it's
fun.
actually 140.
I guess my question on that is, why can't that be used to pay, if it's a lease purchase option, why can't that money be put forward up front
It
without
can.
taking any money?
It can, absolutely.
Okay.
And then we won't know until maybe May or June if there is even additional money that we can put forward. If the airport becomes 100% self-sufficient, there won't be.
Perfect.
But we have probably, I would imagine, a couple years. With the 161 can get us through a couple years on a lease to purchase. So I think that's good there. I just want to keep an eye on,
Okay.
Jody, you're
We
saying
got to
that?
get this squared
I
away.
think I made my point. We'll work with you guys any way we can.
Sure.
if-
Let's get the numbers straight. Jody, you're shaking your head.
The bottom line is that the county cannot commit something for over a year. You cannot say, I'm going to do something in 2 years. You have to be within the year. Pat, if you could just concur or either correct me.
Within the fiscal year, yeah.
Right, so the fiscal, that's why I was saying that you have an opportunity to look at one pool, which would be the tax contribution. And I'm sorry, Stephen, if I'm misspeaking for the amount that is, I'll let you address that. And then the remainder of that for the fiscal year for the lease, that money, if that could be a lease purchase within that fiscal year, then that adds that to the tax contribution that you would make, because now there would be a lease. And that's where that dollar was coming up, trying to get it within a year, so then that
Right,
way you would
right.
be correct. That's all.
And then the balance is the purchase amount.
The remaining balance would
The
be,
remaining
yes.
Stephen, did you want to comment so we can get the numbers straight? Please.
Commissioners, so far this year, our next fiscal year, it's 161,000 is what the general property tax budget amount is. And if you do a lease purchase or whatever that is, it's roughly 52,000 per year for that acreage. So if you're, whatever that amount is, I did forward it to everyone what that dollar amount would be. But it's, then that whatever remainder would be out of it.
So,
So that leaves 109,000. 161 minus 52, am I doing that right?
Plus.
Plus 52. 161 plus.
It depends on depends on how you calculate it. If you find additional 52,000 to add to the airport's budget, it can go that way, or if you deduct 52,000 from the airport's property tax number, then you add more into the need later.
okay, so now I'm even more confused. The 161,000, it sounds like the 161,000 can cover 3 years at $52,000 a year.
The issue is you only, if I'm understanding,
We can only
that,
commit for
you only
one.
can commit for 1 year, unless you choose to prepay, which I think that even gets into,
Okay,
that's a legal question.
let's just
Right,
talk
so-
1
so
year. Let's
legal
keep it
is-
simple.
Okay, so even if we put forth 161,000 towards the 300,000 price, then we still have 300,000 minus 161 to get to you by the end of the lease, whatever the lease is. Okay. And then by then, we may have FTA dollars
Yeah, that's,
to do that.
that leaves 139,000.
Correct. Right. Okay.
So if we're going to,
And I would say, I would like to talk to the FAA, make sure that they're okay with the lease to purchase option, just to verify with them, just because I've never heard that with FAA.
okay.
Sure.
So Tiffany, you're still waiting on Corey's results. You're still waiting on the design.
Yes.
I mean, we can't do anything until the design is complete,
We can't do anything until he's under contract.
Which is
That-
tomorrow.
Which is tomorrow.
which is tomorrow.
Hopefully we'll get that approved tomorrow.
All right, go ahead.
So then you gotta have a couple weeks of design, and then we're already lining up who we're gonna ask to bid on it, because we can do that, we don't have to put it out. So if you're asking me, we probably have 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're looking at having drawings done around the 15th.
Right.
2 weeks to bid, which puts us at the end of the month.
Yeah. So,
And then the contractor helps.
So then we don't necessarily need to vote today.
no,
that
because
correct?
everything, once the contract's signed tomorrow, design's happening whether this project happens or not. We're gonna be obligated to that 40,000-ish, whether we go ahead with the project or not. I'm comfortable with that. And then we need to make sure that all of our lease agreements, purchase agreements, money is in place by the time he's done with it, so it can follow its next process.
least
'cause
a
we don't
couple
wanna
weeks out.
hold that out.
Go ahead, Jody. One last, so we can move on.
The CARES funds were specific to the EOC.
Yes.
No, we know that.
Right, so it's a little concerning for me that you're going to say, well, we'll go ahead with it, but then we're going to turn around and say potentially no, which I know that's your right. But the thing is that the EOC was approved by the board for us to move forward. The funds were approved for us to spend at the EOC. And so I just want to be mindful of the fact that it just seems that we keep doing these little baby steps, and I wasn't sure if there's information that you're lacking that gives you the vote of confidence, and that's where I just not sure, not that you have to answer me. You can
Yeah,
leave
I'm
that as an
lacking about
open-
$139,000 is what it sounds like I'm lacking
Okay.
to be
so-
comfortable.
To be comfortable.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm comfortable going ahead. I think it is gonna happen, but to commit without a little bit more money, where that's gonna come from, and, I wanna talk more about the lease and stuff like that.
What's it gonna take to vote on this project going every time we get here, we just prolong it, and I don't understand what the
Okay,
issue is here.
let me try and address that. We can vote today, but Leslie's got concern about some outstanding items. If we vote today, it's not going to go any faster. Corey still has to do what he has to do, and until he's complete, any work cannot proceed. We can't go any further. So if we delay the vote by 1 week, there's nothing really lost. I mean, I could vote today, but we're going to have open items like who's going to pay in the end? Is it you? Is it us? Who is it? And we may never get the answers to those up front, but if we wait another week, that's not going to delay
That's
anything.
what we said last week, and the week
There is another caveat that's out there.
Go ahead.
On the waiting part of it, and that's the furniture. I don't know what the lead time is on the furniture.
Yeah, we need to get that stuff. Lead times are enemy right now, right? So there's parts and pieces we have to order
Yes.
like now in order to
And
get.
some of those are imported.
Yeah, well, our furniture's made in America, but there's still
Okay.
a huge lead time issue, 8 to 12 weeks on most things. So the longer
Okay.
we delay this, the longer our lead time dwindles away.
It's the coded situation.
Sure.
Yeah, that's actually why it's.
It's
Yes.
I mean, when you,
So I understand that part of it, but you don't have to move out January 1st. I mean, you can continue to stay there if ordering's delayed 1 week.
But I have to have this stuff in order to pay with it for the CARES money.
Sure.
If I don't have it by the 15th, I can't
30th.
utilize that, 30th. I can't utilize that funding to pay for those items.
Okay, so when we order something, we don't get to pay for them until they arrive? Typically?
Typically, you don't prepay.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
So, again,
what's your, you don't want to take a vote today?
My only concern is where's that other money coming from? Is it,
I thought that was answered, though. Is it not, Jody?
It's not because Stephen has said that he needs to check with FAA on the lease payment towards the.
Okay, Stephen, you can do that this week.
yeah,
Okay, we better schedule a vote for next Monday. We can't delay any longer. Okay?
Stephen feels that it may not be an issue, he wants to check.
sure.
You know, worst comes to
Yeah.
worst. I mean, if it's that crucial, we can also schedule, well, no, we're going to be running out of time because you're gone.
So if you're saying that you're gonna schedule a vote, and this is on the record, being, we're gonna schedule a vote next Tuesday, I'm okay with it.
No, Monday.
Or
Well,
I'm
Monday,
sorry.
Monday's a holiday, Monday's a holiday.
Monday's a holiday. it's
Tuesday business meeting
There
would
you
be
go.
the most,
And you'll have an
best
answer.
place.
Yes, Stephen?
Yeah.
Okay, there we
Next
go.
Tuesday we'll
Okay.
vote.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Next Tuesday
So
vote.
are we gonna pull his contract off then, or are we
no,
still?
No.
no,
Go
absolutely
forward.
not.
Go.
Okay, just
No.
making sure I'm clear. I'm just
All right,
trying
no,
to make
keep going.
sure there's a lot swinging around. and
know.
Okay, here we,
trying-
let's
just
move on
trying to
here.
get it all.
We could be here all afternoon.
I just want to make sure Melissa doesn't want to add anything to the.
So Melissa, are you okay?
I am. So I'll get with, so Stephen has been even involved longer than Jody on this. So I'll get with Stephen later today and kind of figure out where we're moving forward. If we're doing this agreement for all of that property, or if it's just the armory and the FTA piece. So I can write it either way. I'll
Yeah,
get with
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Melissa, it's,
Well, hold on.
Melissa's speaking to all 80 acres.
the
Okay.
decision next
Right,
week. Go ahead, Melissa.
right, I heard Stephen in the background, right, because he has, the airport has other plans kind of on the rest of that property, and it's kind of a large piece of property, so I don't know if we're just doing this one little piece, or if we're gonna do the whole thing, or what, so I'll get with Stephen and we'll figure out a plan on that.
Okay,
Okay, fair enough?
great.
Let's get it.
Okay, that's it,
Thank
done.
you.
The vote next week is armory and armory only on 2.4 acres. Got it? Okay. Item number 2, Romer Hamilton House deed restrictions, discussion.
So Pat had presented that to us, and sadly, I didn't make a copy for myself to address here, but we can address it,
I saw them, yeah.
yeah, bigger or better. We'll have a further discussion on September 9th when the House, the Music Conservatory comes in for their update meeting.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's just a list of potential restrictions. I'm not necessarily saying they all would apply. It's just various ones for the board to consider.
Yeah, and I looked at it, Pat, I'm generally fine with it.
Okay, yeah, but
Okay,
like
I
I
think
said,
it may-
like I said, it wasn't necessarily, you know, all of them. It could be.
Sure.
It could be all of them, it could be none of them, it could be one, two.
And,
you know,
and,
all but one.
and it helped me immensely because there's a gentleman who's interested in buying it for the conservatory, but I'll touch on that when we get to status. And then, and what you had put together as the general guidelines helped me immensely when I was on the phone with him. Okay, cool. Shawn,
Yes.
we're gonna get buried with this tank. Is this thing ever gonna go away?
This is the last piece.
This should be the last piece. What it is it's an environmental covenant that basically restricts the use of the land and in the event that we ever decided to sell it, which we're not. So this gets recorded in the recorder's office, and it becomes public record, and we have to send it off to them. And hopefully, this is gonna solve the problem. I'm just, right now, it's pretty much written up. We're ready to get it to legal. I'm not sure who on staff that should go to. Pat, do you have any idea on who this might?
I'd start with Dave.
With Dave, okay, all right. So if the board wishes, this is the draft, you've seen it. I'm ready to get this up to Dave Ferguson and get this thing done, because hopefully this will fix it. There's one thing that they may balk at, there's some language in here that we put in, it says there shall be no excavation of soil greater than 6 feet within the restricted area. And the reason for that is we want to be able to change a sprinkler head without having to file a report, is basically all that is.
Okay.
I'm ready to take it to legal if you guys so desire.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So my, Bill, yeah, okay.
Okay,
Item number 4, Capital Crimes Defense Fund at Large Position Vote.
Yeah, so the three of us have to agree on our one vote. There are 5 applicants, and both of you received via email the vote, the application. So I have met several of them. I don't know what the two of you want to do as far as discussion, and we're not doing it today. I just wanted to bring this, so we have until, September 25th.
Oh, okay, and I saw this last week, but
Yeah. So we can just probably do
You're-
it as
you're
a
okay.
business meeting or something like
Got it.
that. But I don't know if,
so it's a vote of at least 2 out of 3 of us.
one,
right?
yeah, well, yeah, I
It's a
suppose
board
so.
vote.
Yes, it's a
Okay.
board vote.
Got it.
Yep.
That was quick.
Yep.
Okay, fiscal year 21 Indigent Defense Financial Assistance Agreement Approval. That's the letter we just saw.
Yes, so what happened was the form, they had changed it once again. There was some unclear language, even though our auditor met with the PDC financial team, things still were not filled out correctly. So when we got the grant award, it is $235,000 and change below what Ann needs to operate for FY '21. So we have figured that out. We have good numbers now. And so the letter kind of sums it up as far as we're going to, I would recommend after the conversation on Friday, to go ahead and approve the amount. That is short $235,000. There was another $140,000 in there that was going to go to another project, and it sounded like we're going to be able to use that towards salaries. So I do not believe that Ann will be short. We just have to move some things around.
Okay.
And so if we were to hold up the grant, that would affect other counties negatively, and we don't want to do that. So if you guys have any questions about it, okay.
So we're proceeding with their recommendation.
Yes, so I move that we approve the FY '21 Indigent Defense Financial Assistance Agreement, and also ask that we execute this letter of explanation.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. We'll be executing the fiscal 21 Indigent Defense Financial Assistance Agreement. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 6, pending item status review. So here we go. First item, the Romer Building. Okay, on Friday, last Friday, I spoke with a gentleman whose name was provided by Julaine Dance, who is a neighbor, and he is interested in purchasing it for them. We didn't go into a lot of detail. I explained to him what we paid for it. I can only speculate as to the value right now, and I really shouldn't do that, but my guess is the building's not going to be worth much more, possibly less. The land, of course, has potentially gone up in value, and so the gentleman is very much aware of that. And I'm supposed to get back with him. I did basically go over the conditions that Pat had drafted, because I said this indicated that it potentially isn't final, but these are the conditions we're looking at. It's got to be nonprofit, can't exceed 2 stories, et cetera, et cetera. He's fine with it because, again, he's participating in their mission of having a music conservatory. Whether this will come to fruition, I don't know, but I think we need, at this point, to proceed with an appraisal, because we can't do anything without it. We're hamstrung.
Is that
Is
the
that
case,
correct, Pat?
Yeah, yeah, we can just, update the appraisal we've already had, if that's how you want to do it.
Who did it?
Oh, I can't remember.
It was Stan Moe.
Stan Moe, it was Stan.
But because it was a few years ago, it's probably going to call for a new one.
You could, yeah.
You
I
can use
call
either
for a
Stan or
new one.
Valbridge. Valbridge was pretty fast when they did the other one for us.
I don't have a problem getting
You
hold of
guys
them.
okay if we
Does that, now, I do have a question on that, though, because I
Go ahead.
thought if it went for sale, it has to go to the highest bidder.
That is correct,
Does.
and he knows that.
Okay,
He
I
knows
just
that.
wanted, because I wasn't sure.
He knows that.
Yeah,
And
step
Yeah.
1, appraisal. Step
Yeah,
2,
okay.
narrow down those deed restrictions to make sure we want to go forward. Step 3, publish notice, and then step 4,
Right.
have the auction.
Okay.
What's the publishing, Pat? 2 weeks apart, 30 days in advance?
I think it's 14 and 7, but I'll double check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 14, 7, and 7. So it's a Monday and a Monday, back to back, 14 days total.
Okay, so you're going to order it?
I'll call Valbridge and talk to them, see what I
Yeah.
can get.
And they can use a residential appraiser. It doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
have to be an MAI. Okay.
One other thing,
Go right ahead.
do you have any more use agreements?
No, I was actually expecting them last Thursday,
Okay.
and so I will need to touch base with them and find out, because they had their meeting last Wednesday. So I will follow up on them.
I need to see what those dates are
Right.
that may affect me.
And the gentleman didn't indicate whether he would go for financing or pay cash. So I think the appraisal might have something to do with, say about that. Okay. And again, it is a bid, so he's aware of that.
Got it.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah, on the Citizens Advisory Committee, I anticipate having something finished by the end of September for the review of the board.
Oh, okay. 30 days.
Yeah, approximately.
Okay. Fire station at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, so legal, you weren't here last week, but
Right.
legal had made some changes and sent it back to KCFR attorney. So we're waiting for it to come back to them, to come back to us from them.
Cool. Okay. Got it. U of I Extension, new home.
So Shawn and I toured 2 additional buildings, and I will let Charla come speak to, they have some irons in the fire as well.
I happen to have a really big iron in the fire the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
So my goal is to this week, we did have 1, possibly 2 other locations that we wanted to scout out first and then bring back
Okay.
to you. So I will follow through with that this week and able to come back next week. And I will touch base with you guys in the meantime.
Okay, did you get a chance to view the other property? Okay, you got a chance to view the,
I never saw an answer to the email, so I don't know if she had a chance to see the Post Falls, because the Post Falls one
No.
is a diagram, and I would have to just, like, I'm probably the only one that knows how
Yeah.
to read it.
Yeah. No, I haven't. Like I said, I had a really big iron in the fire. We had about
okay.
700 kids and 1,400 entries that we were working through at the fairgrounds in a stock sale, but we're in excess of, 95,000 in sales on Saturday. so.
Nice.
okay, cool.
Great.
Okay, so you've got two that you're gonna check out this week? Okay, so last
two on
week
our
was the
leaves.
mall and Post Falls?
Yes.
Yes, we went and looked at a piece of property in the, what is that, Riverbend Park or whatever they call that, the Jacqueline's have
Yes,
the
in
property.
Post
It's
Falls.
a little over 4,000 square feet. It's very open. And I think it fits, as you saw in the email, within the price range. They
Yes.
would be looking for some tax break, but that would be doable because it's already being done, so it's not
Correct.
going to affect the other
And
taxing
that's a
districts.
two-year lease.
Here's the problem that we're gonna run into. It's kind of like the same problem as the Armory. It just keeps going this way, but the clock keeps ticking coming back. So like, for instance, the building in Post Falls, if we were to say, okay, they're gonna go to Post Falls, they still gotta be out by the end of September, so they need to get packed, and in the meantime, the utilities have to be transferred, the floors need to be cleaned, the walls need to be painted, so it doesn't matter which one, at some point in time, then it's not gonna be physically possible to hit the
Okay,
date
so
that the
here's-
clerk is
here's-
asking you for.
Right.
That's my concern. It doesn't matter to me where they go. If the mission is they have to be out by the end of September, now we're not even looking at anything until the 2nd of September, and then, it just,
Yeah.
that's my concern, because just from the construction side of it, I know Corey can back me up, if you decided to say that they're gonna take the 2,200 square feet of Welsh Comer, Phil's still gotta go in there and put that wall up that he wants to keep the two separate and get everything out.
Right.
So that's, I think at some point in time,
Sure.
we're just gonna have to.
Well,
go
I
through.
I think we can probably go forward on Monday, because you're going to see the two places that you have picked out, and if those don't work, you're going to get with Shawn to get, to see the other two places, and then by Monday, we should be able to start forth on,
Pick a spot on
pick
Monday.
a spot.
Yeah, but what I would say is after.
Tuesday, sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. After you view these,
I will get back immediately. as soon as
yeah,
I can.
please.
Yeah.
Because that'll help us get a little bit of a head start
And I'm
for
gonna
you.
try to get in to see them in the next couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then even if they already have, like, Welsh Comer has a boilerplate lease already. So if either one of those places you decide, I want to do this, then send us the lease and we'll get it to legal.
Well, I'll walk through it and then I will contact, who should I contact? Let me phrase it that way.
Sure.
If I walk through a building, decide this appears to me to be a good fit.
Call me. I'm your
Call you?
liaison. Call
Okay,
me.
I will call you, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then I'll get with Shawn and Leslie and Bill, and we'll figure it out. Absolutely. So you've got two prospects this week, and then we have Welch Comer, the mall, and Post Falls Riverbend, so you've got 5 potentials. I would think so, yeah. Post Falls is what, 4,100 square feet?
Yeah, I think it's just north of 4,100, I think, somewhere right in there.
Anyway, okay. Right?
One more question,
Yeah,
Charlotte.
go.
We either have to have this meeting at 11 o'clock on Tuesday, the 8th, or at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Are you okay with 2 o'clock, or? Sure.
The real one's a little rummy right now. It's been a long 16 days.
Okay, then we'll let you know then.
Okay, cool. Okay, body scanner, that's on for tomorrow, is it?
It is?
Okay, that was quick,
Yep.
all right?
Nothing to report on facilities expansion or PAC airport lease.
Okay. And, okay, so we're done.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness, I didn't think we'd make it.
I was thinking.
Public comment, Jody, did you want to say something? Oh, you're kidding, you're welcome. Public comment? None, 11:43, meeting adjourned, thank you.
Somebody suggested we come back.